It was about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was thinking about business ideas and ideas for bars. And I had been traveling the country a little bit for work and seeing different towns and seeing that tiki bars were starting to pop up. And I kind of liked the tropical vibe and the atmosphere of the tiki bars, and I started researching them here in Detroit and realized that there was a whole history of tiki bars in the 50s and 60s. So I started acquiring different things related to tiki, some mugs, some menus, and one thing led to another. And I had a whole bunch of different tiki-related items from Detroit, and I've kind of amassed a little collection of Detroit history. Tiki culture is kind of a fake culture in a lot of ways. People reference Hawaii, but in like Polynesian culture and island culture, but it's really kind of this Americanized, bastardized version of island culture. It's you know, part of it's nautical with fishnets and lamps and things like that, but part of it is like statues of gods that might not actually exist in real world. No people actually worship these gods. They're just kind of like these fake things that were created. So it's kind of got this kitschy aspect of the culture that's kind of like fake and created. So even though it's artificial, you're coming in to escape, and people just kind of think the kitsch is fun and get into it. That's part of it, is introducing people to this culture that, you know, it can kind of be whatever you want it to be. And I think that's what is appealing about it to people, is that you can just, you know, come in and it becomes whatever you want it to be. So the history of tiki in general is really interesting. It started in the 30s, and it was kind of a lot of the original tiki bars were for kind of the elite or upper class in Hollywood and in California. They were bars where the cocktails were very extensive. They were really interesting, kind of exotic ingredients, and you could go get this fancy cocktail, and the original bartenders were of Filipino descent, and a lot of the recipes were passed down from family member to family member, bartender to bartender in that community, and it took decades and decades of work to actually find the original recipes. Tiki bars at first in the 30s and 40s were kind of elite institutions where you got the fanciest cocktails possible. And then they kind of died out after the 50s and 60s, and then with the kind of the resurgence of cocktail culture now, they've kind of come back, because you know you have all these speakeasies and interesting cocktail bars, but I think the next logical step in tiki is to have something a little bit more fun, a little bit more casual. I think Detroit has, or it had, a very unique tiki culture. There was Chin Tiki, which was the last one, and that was demolished, I think, in the 90s or early 2000s, and it was featured in the movie 8 Mile. And so that was kind of the last one, but there was Mauna Loa, there was the Tropics, there's Trader Vic's, which is kind of a chain that was well known around the country. Chin Tiki was a little bit smaller. Mauna Loa was this huge, massive, sprawling tiki bar that had palm trees outside and coin bars, and it was one of the bigger restaurants, and it only lasted a couple years. And so we hope to kind of fit into that culture of tiki and have some throwbacks to that here in our bar. So we've got different things like a coin bar to reference Mauna Loa. We have some of the menus and different, you know, glasses and mugs from the old bars that we'll have here. The one thing that we hope that we do different than probably the tiki bars from the 50s and 60s is we want to make it accessible to everyone.
Lost River Tiki is a project that is very near and dear to my heart. My family and my roots are here in Detroit. Being a part of an industry that allows us to bring the community together is really exciting. We're really excited to have our place be a gathering place for local Detroiters, folks from Grosse Pointe, we're right near the border of Grosse Pointe, to meet and enjoy a cocktail, especially during snowy days like today, when it's gray and depressing, as it often is in Michigan. We want to give people a paradise and almost a safe haven to be able to go inside and really escape the gloom that sometimes haunts us here in Detroit. Being able to bring in that piece of sunshine to everyone's daily life is really a big goal of mine, as well as just having a place in this community and in the city of Detroit that is our own and helps to, again, boost the community, hire new people, bring new jobs to this area. It's a part of Mack Avenue that is just starting to flourish and come to life again, and we're really hoping that we can be a part of that renaissance for this part of the city.